Momentum in 2023. We're coming to the New Year's, and so many people are coming in there with hopes, desires, interests, and goals. And there is so many people are looking into the future. They're looking at the past and seeing how things went, and they're looking in the future and seeing what possibilities do they want to create. One of the most powerful forces in success is this law of momentum. Because the truth is, there's going to be either one of two forces that are working for you or working against you. And this is the law of momentum, which states an object in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by another force. So in order to have success, you want to have that mass in motion. You want to be able to have that feeling of forward progress. It's one of the most powerful things to helping to keep you motivated towards meeting and exceeding your goals and beyond, where the opposite force that could be working against you if you're not intentional and careful is what's called the law of inertia. And the law of inertia states an object at rest stays at rest unless acted upon by another force. So in this video, I hope to be that other force that could help act upon you if you're at rest, and to help continue if you're in momentum, how to make more momentum, how to stay in momentum, how to get in momentum, so that you can go from one glorious victory to the next, go from strength to strength, and build success and start stacking more success for the new year and the new you. In this inertia, we don't want to be staying stuck where it seems like when you're lacking momentum, it's one of those things that it's not so much like a tangible that you could look at and sink your teeth in, as much as it is when you have it and when you don't. When you have it, it seems like things are so effortless and they're easy, and it seems like you're getting things done, and you're in this flow state where you're able to produce and create, you're productive, and things are nice. You're reaching your goals. When you're out of momentum, it seems like the most simple things are the hardest to do. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of energy, and it seems like you're putting in little results, and you're receiving little results, and it just seems that things are so difficult. You're not reaching your goals. Maybe you don't even have goals, and that's a very difficult place to be. So today we're going to be looking at 7 ways you could make momentum, keep momentum, and master momentum in the new year. So number 1, the first thing, not only am I going to be looking at momentum makers, but I'm going to be looking at momentum murderers. Because just as important as knowing what to do to make more momentum, I believe, is knowing what not to do. And what are the activities, what are the things that are going to absolutely murder and kill all momentum that you may have. And the first momentum murderer that you would see is this scattered effort. In the new year, while we have so many desires, attempting to chase after those desires all at once and scattering your effort, scattering your focus, it's going to destroy that momentum. One thing, so what is good to do is what I would say is focused effort. Focused effort will make momentum in the new year. And as you are making this focused effort, the law of focus states that what you focus on, you find. If you focus on momentum, you're going to find more momentum. What you focus on, you feel. And we're talking about that feeling of forward progress. So really by the act of focusing on the progress you desire to see in your health, in your business, in your relationships, the very act of focusing on the good that you want to see more of will actually create more momentum in that area of your life. That sounds pretty simple, right? And what you focus on flourishes. So while you continue to focus and give attention to things, where your attention goes, intention flows, intention follows. So as you are intentional about things, they will continue to grow. The only constant, the only thing that is consistent in life is change. Change is automatic. However, growth is optional. Progress requires intention. If you want to have momentum, if you want to have the growth in the direction that you really desire to go, then it's going to require your focus effort, focus attention, focus in your study, in your words, in your questions, focus in your thoughts, because your life is always going in the direction of your strongest thoughts. Wherever you spend and consume a lot of your mind towards, that's what you're going to see. That's where you're going to end up. I've heard it said before that your obsessions become your possessions. So what you want to possess is what you want to obsess over. And that focus will cause whatever you focus on to flourish. And focus ultimately forms you. The four things: what you focus on, you find; what you focus on, you feel; what you focus on flourishes; and what you focus on forms you. It changes who you are, so you can become the person who could eventually do the thing, so you can have the blessings that God has promised. So one way that I like to focus for the new year is, I've been doing it for I believe this is 3 or 4 years, since 2020, is so this is my 3rd year of having a word of the year. And in having a word of the year, it's been amazing. I never realized how valuable, how helpful this was. And it's basically, you just ask, what is one word, one attribute that you would like to focus on, such that by focusing on would help to lay the strongest foundation of your life, would make everything else easier and necessary. If you look at your life work and where it's able to go from now, please don't set that up right now. I appreciate that. If you were to look at your life and you see, what one thing could you focus on, such that by focusing on would make everything else easier and necessary, choose that word. What is one attribute in your character that if it was formed, would help lay the foundation of who you want to become, would help? What's a skill? Is this new year for you going to be a year of mastery? Is this going to be a year of momentum? What will help you? When the first word that I chose is intentional. And intentional was one of the best decisions of my life. I figured, hey, everything that I desire is going to require intention. I have to take intentional action towards something worthy. And so then the next year was focus. And I've had the most focused year I've ever had in my life. I learned more about thoughts in my mind and how to focus than ever before. I was like, this is incredible. Then last year, what I chose was leverage, because I wanted to learn leverage is what is the minimum input or the minimal effort that will create maximum results, maximum output. And I realized that not all things that I could focus on are of equal consequence. I realized that high performers make decisions based on what is going to have the highest leverage, the highest consequences. And as I started to study, it's like each one helped me to unlock the next word of the year. And it's been one of the most profitable things I've done. I'm so grateful. So this year, what I'm choosing to focus on is momentum. And in momentum, by teaching about momentum, studying momentum, how does momentum happen, I believe that this is going to help me to be able to continue to go from one glorious victory to the next and have that momentum. That if momentum is a skill, our momentum habits, momentum makers is what I can master for the next 12 months, I believe that my life will be unrecognizable 12 months from now. Just like today, it is unrecognizable than what it was 12 months ago before I chose leverage. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you. I've been really contemplating about momentum lately. I'm going to share with you 7 of some of the best tips that I've found in understanding momentum. But the first one is focused effort, because momentum, I realized, is measured in a consistent force in the same direction. Because even if you change the direction slightly, that creates friction that slows momentum. It takes away. And if you start here and you scatter that, it's actually going to, you won't be able to create momentum without focus. That was something that really stood out to me, is that momentum is actually, it is motion in the same direction, which was really powerful. So my word of the year is momentum, and I suggest If you have a word of the year habit that you like to do, let me know in the comments. What is your word of the year? What is the one word that you want to focus on this year that you believe is going to bring the greatest difference in your life? So I'd love to read your comments. I read all the comments. And number two, let's look at, first we're going to look at the momentum murderer. The second biggest momentum murderer is something that gets so many people, unfortunately, and that's what I would say is to start large and to start late. The problem is when we have a goal and we want to accomplish something new, we fabricate something that's so big and complex, and we overthink what we need to have before we do anything. And by doing this, it murders your momentum. So instead, what I would recommend is to start small and start soon. Start small and start soon. That is the second momentum maker that you can do, is start small and start soon. Sooner than you think. Because one thing, momentum is much like a snowball. It's very interesting, because if you have a snowball, you see that it starts really small right here, but as it builds and it goes down, what does it eventually become when you get to the bottom? It starts to become this massive force to be reckoned with. Even the largest avalanches of power, of force, can often start with the smallest the smallest snow, the smallest interruption. It could be sound that just shakes it a little bit and then starts to landslide and escalate into, and that could be into success. So with the snowball effect, what I like to think about, what is the smallest baby step action that can be taken soon, immediately, and that small action, gaining these micro victories, will help stack more victories. Because success is not built on the foundation of failure. Success is only built on the foundation of success. So when we create micro victories, when we focus on those small progress and we appreciate those little victories, it actually creates more victories. Because the law of appreciation states, what you appreciate will appreciate, which is amazing, because when you appreciate the little victories and the small steps, and you see small progress is still progress. And you can write that down. Small progress is still progress. And by starting small and starting soon, you're able to actually take action towards your goal. In fact, Zechariah 4:10, I love this verse. It says, "For who hath despised the day of small things?" God encourages us, don't despise the day of small things. In Luke 16:10, it's my favorite verse in all the Bible. "He that is faithful in that which is least," like the little snowball, the baby steps, "will be faithful also in much," like the massive snowball that is moving, that's a force to be reckoned with. But if you're unfaithful in that which is least, you'll be unfaithful in that which is much. So if you are learning a new skill, if you're creating a new results in your business, if there's something that you haven't done yet, then you have to start with the small things and focus on the fundamentals. As you do this, it will help you to create more momentum faster. Where if you overcomplicate what you need before you can get started doing anything, it's going to be terrible. Because like when I first wanted, I had a dream in 2012, so that was like 10 going on 11 years ago. I started to create content for YouTube. I started to create content online. I wanted to record videos and teach. And I didn't have video editing experience. I didn't have social media experience. I didn't understand about content creation. In fact, I was I was like a socially awkward, lonely video gamer who did not interact with very many people. Communication was like the least of my skills. And to think that I'd be up front wearing a suit, speaking to audiences of thousands offline and online, then that's just like, that is unheard of. I wouldn't have thought that. Anyone who knew me wouldn't have thought that at that time. But I had a vision, I had a dream, and I wanted to serve. So what I ended up doing was, I didn't have much funds when I was 16, 17 in my mother's living room. But I had a phone, and at the time it was a Samsung Galaxy S3. It was an S3. The cameras on there were a little wonky, and all I had was a smartphone. And what I did was I set up the living room, which happened to be my bedroom because I slept on the couch, and I had permission to put a whiteboard on the wall in my mother's living room, and I had the couch on the other side so that I could invite friends, neighbor, classmates, students, and people over so that I could teach as I was sharing with Bible studies. And as I was teaching, I got the little phone, but I'm like, how do I get this phone to work? So my mom gave me a little hand-me-down tripod that she got from college that was also a little shaky, but I was like, how do I get this phone on the tripod? And either, I don't know if they didn't exist back then or I just didn't know about them. Because I didn't know about the clips that you could have a tripod mount for your phone, I ended up going to the hardware store and I bought a wing nut, some super glue, popsicle sticks, and some rubber bands. And what I ended up doing was I put the phone I super glued popsicle sticks to the wing nut, and I wrapped a rubber band around my phone so that I could record. And by doing that, that was literally my first camera. I couldn't have a $1,000 camera before, but that's what I did. And I started with that, and I'll tell you what, those simple videos got thousands of views and were viewed worldwide as I was starting small and starting soon. Where I've seen creators who want to get their message out, but they're so caught up on what microphone do I need to have, what camera do I need to have, what green screen or background and setting, and they focus on all of these different details. And it's like, look, you don't realize that you are murdering your momentum when you go out and you buy all this equipment thinking you need this in order to succeed. I've seen super viral videos that they look like they were recorded with a potato. I mean, they're so simple with the videos. There's people who go viral constantly with the cameras that are on our phones are so much better than otherwise. And there's so many obstacles that people face when they overcomplicate things. So what I learned from that experience is that complexity is the enemy of execution. Whatever attacks your ability to execute is going to attack your momentum. Complexity is a momentum murderer. Trying to start large is going to end up starting late. And done is better than perfect. I realize that there's a lot of war between should I have quality or should I have quantity. And I believe that quality is subjective. It's like, who determines quality is the marketplace, is the people that you're actually speaking to. Value or quality is in the eye of the beholder. You don't get to decide the quality. But there is a quality in quantity. The more that you do those small steps and the more of them you do, you will find feedback, which is most valuable, and the marketplace, your audience, allows you to see what do they resonate with, what do they respond to, what do they engage with, what do they share, what do they comment, what do they take your offers from. That's what you define as quality. Other than that, you don't really know. So there is really a quality in quantity, and a concept that I absolutely love with starting small and starting soon is a concept in the startup world. There's a phrase that's called a minimum viable product, and the minimum viable product is essentially asking, what is the minimum? What is the least that you can do just to test if it's viable? Because let's face it, friends, entrepreneurs have tons of ideas, but ideas are a dime a dozen. Just because it's an idea does not mean that you're getting like 10,000. If you're having 10,000 ideas, it doesn't mean you're getting $10,000 million ideas every single time. We have to test to see if it's viable. One of the worst things that people do is they pour hundreds of thousands of dollars into a business idea They borrow lots of money from friends, families, companies, and they're trying to test out. They have no tested product, no tested product market match and fit to see if what they're offering is really what the marketplace is asking for or desiring to buy. And they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. They spend thousands of hours designing and preparing and putting together their product, and they're paying the payroll and the salary of so much team, and they have no idea if it's actually desirable yet. And then finally, when they're ready to launch, and it's so late in the game, they've already put in all this effort, they launch and it's crickets. Why? Because they didn't create a minimum viable product to test if it was actually viable. They go through all that effort only to find out that they were the only ones passionate about creating that product, but the marketplace wasn't passionate about paying them for that solution. So it hit me when I began to realize, oh, this minimum viable product is a powerful concept, but not only that, it doesn't just apply to creating products like courses. And I mean, you could have minimum viable books, you can have minimum viable course, minimum viable websites, you could have minimum viable projects. When you can apply the minimum viable insert blank, whatever the project is, when you apply that principle, that way of thinking to your mind, it will make momentum in 2023. I promise you. And as you get everything in marketing is a test, that is a guess. It's a test at best. And so as you test, then you will see how viable it is. You get feedback, and that's what you start doing. Start lean. It's like that lean startup. Just start with some minimum effort, get some momentum, have that snowball effect, because complexity is the enemy of execution. As you do that, you'll start finding greater success, greater momentum towards the goals that you desire. The third momentum murderer that we can find is this what I like to call a start and stop pattern. A lot of people, they start these projects and then they stop them very quickly, and it gets very challenging. And what I find is like there was a time where I wanted to get when I was first starting to get healthier. I had a heart attack when I was 12, and I was 210 pounds. I was the second fattest kid of an elementary school of about 1,000 students, and I realized that I had this life-threatening experience, and I was scared. I didn't know what to do. So I started to realize that a lot of my diet had to do with the health that I had. 12 years old, I was 210 pounds. I was big, and so I had some of those health challenges where I started to exercise more, and I started to I wanted to get stronger, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to do some push-ups, because that wasn't something that I've done much before. But as I've started over the years, sometimes I would do some push-ups and I get really sore. I would go really intense. And as I would be real intense with it, I'd be sore for like 3 days later, and it was intense. And I was like, I don't really want to do push-ups the next day. I was like, well, that didn't work. So I started it was intense, and then I stopped. And then I'd go maybe another few months or a year, and I'm like, all right, I want to do some push-ups again. So I'd go at it again. I'd be real tense, but then I'd start and then I'd stop, because it was exhausting. It was tiring. It wasn't sustainable. I pushed myself too much. I didn't have mentorship. I didn't have someone who had more experience kind of show me the way. So what I did, finally, the time to make it stuck is when I decided, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I am going to be consistent in doing the push-ups, but I'm going to do it differently. Instead of doing everything I've got on day one, what if I just do one push-up day one? Day 2, I'll do 2 push-ups. Day 3, I'll do 3 push-ups. Day 4, I'll do 4 push-ups. And as I continued each day doing one more push-up, I found I was able to break my personal records, do more push-ups than I've ever done in my life. And what I learned from that experience is that consistency beats intensity every single time. So the third momentum maker is consistency. Consistency is so potent for for creating momentum, because without consistent effort towards a common goal, then it's going to murder the momentum. A lot of the start and stop pattern. Some of you may feel that you're in the start and stop. You start a lot of courses, but you don't finish them. You start a lot of books, you don't finish them. You start a lot of projects, you don't finish them. You have so many ideas that you're seeking to pursue. There's a lot of problems in your business, a lot of problems in the marketplace that you're able to solve, and you start solving this one, but you don't do it. And that consistency is exhausting your momentum, and it creates inertia. This object at rest stays at rest until acted upon by another force. One of the reasons why this start and stop pattern is so dangerous to your momentum is because of the easy hard principle. And the easy hard principle is this, is that failure is easy on the front end. Like, it feels good, it's easy, there's not much resistance. It's easy to do. Failure is easy on the front end, but it's hard on the back end. Success is hard on the front end, but easy on the back end. And you get to choose your hard. Either way, it's going to be hard, but which one do you want to have? And what we see is that with success, it's harder, it's more efforts on the front end. It takes more focus, more diligence, more resolve on the front end to keep going. And when you don't have momentum when you're starting something, it's most difficult. But as you take that consistent action, it becomes easier, because you start having that snowball where what first took a lot of effort to try to get going eventually starts to have so much momentum that it'll be hard to stop even if you wanted to. It'll be hard to stop succeeding even if you tried, which I wouldn't suggest, but that's what the momentum is. But you never really get to this point of peak performance when you're in that momentum if you're constantly starting over from zero with all these opportunities, whether it's switching markets, it's the key people of influence who have a position of influence, who have authority or credibility in a market and solving a problem. They're the ones who get the leads. They're the one who gets the opportunities. Opportunities flow to those who are in the inner circle, those who are in the inner circle of their industry. And if you start over and every time that you change your product and you change your solution, then you're literally you have all this momentum over here. And what's amazing, what I find fascinating is, as entrepreneurs, we find something that works, and we create a challenge, we create an offer, we launch something, and we get paid, and it's super exciting, and we get paid, and then we're like, okay, next, what's the next thing I want to go create? And we go off and we get bored instead of getting paid, and we go off and we go create something else, and we start from scratch, create a whole new offer, new challenge, new whatever, and then it murders the momentum. So instead of getting bored, get paid. Find something that works, that's paying you, then rinse and repeat your results. Do the same thing. Be consistent, because it's going to, every time you start over, you start with the hard, and then it becomes easy. So many of you are starting and stopping so many things that you're living your entire life in the hard phase, and you never allow yourself to be consistent long enough till you could experience the easy. It's like you're being hardaholics. You're studying all the things, like addicted to things that are hard. Instead of being a hardaholic, be an easyologist. And part of being an easyologist, studying what is easy and doing things the easier, faster way, is by being consistent. Consistency, as Alex Hormozi often says, and I love it when he does, is many times we don't need to be taught something completely new, or something, we don't need a new framework or a new plan or new actions, new steps. We don't need to do something new as much as it's good to be reminded of what we already knew. It's like Tina Frizzell, she was, I was talking to her, she just got to her before I spoke with her, she's a publisher and she teaches people how to publish books. Before I spoke to her, she wasn't very interested in getting Amazon bestsellers. She wasn't thinking that could be a good benefit. But I shared with her some reasons why I'd recommend getting to bestseller, And because once you're a bestseller, you're always a bestseller, and how people value that. And if she's able to put that in her system, then her clients would be more interested in working with her. And as she was thinking about it, and she's like, all right, I just recently got my book, I Want to Mentor, Now What Do I Do, to #1 bestseller. And and as I was sharing with her, she's like, all right, what did you do? And I laid out the plan. I was explaining exactly what I did to get to bestseller. And she's like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Some of the stuff she knew, but she didn't see, like some of the programs she bought, but she didn't see the value of some of these tools or softwares. Some of the stuff she's like, I've heard some of these things, but she wasn't doing them or didn't see value in them yet. So as she got to bestseller, I was like, hey, did my conversation help? She's like, yeah, well, you helped me you encouraged me to do some of the things that I knew to do, but I wasn't. And it was like, it's just one of the, it's how it goes, is that a lot of times we don't need to be taught something brand new as much as being encouraged, reminded to do what we already know to do. So that consistency is key. And that is a momentum maker for 2023. Now, the fourth, if we're going on to number 4, one of the biggest momentum murderers that really kills the momentum for many is procrastination. Because momentum is a feeling of forward progress. The opposite of progress is procrastination. The thing that's going to, like, you could be picking up some steam, you could be picking up some speed, but when you face something that you start procrastinating, it's like you're driving down the fast track in your vehicle, and procrastination is like how the police have that track that they slide across the street, and it pops your tires and it slows you down and it starts making the speed. Now your momentum's being used against you and you start slowing down. That's basically a lot of what that's what procrastination does to your success, to your dreams. It's like popping the tires when you're starting to pick up some speed. So one of the reasons why people procrastinate so much is because of fear. It's like, for instance, when writing a book, I ask people, like, what's your biggest problem with getting your book published? And one of the things they say is, well, I have writer's block, or maybe I'm not writing I'm not writing it, or I'm not being consistent with writing the stuff, and I'm procrastinating with my plan for publishing. And I'm just like, there's no such thing as writer's block. What people are calling writer's block is really that the problem isn't that they can't think of things to write. It's that when they sit down to put the pen and paper, or they start typing, they're imagining. You get writer's block when you imagine that you're going to write a book and then it's not going to sell. What if you do all this and nobody buys your book? That fear of failure, that fear of the unknown, that fear of expecting problems, expecting things that are not going to, are outcomes that you don't desire. This is what causes people to procrastinate. And when you allow your expectation to cast off into the future, like the worst possible outcome, and then you bring it into the present like it's an already accomplished fact, when you imagine failure, this makes us feel like procrastination. When we are imagining that things are going to be the worst case scenario, they're not going to go the way that you want, that's when you start to feel procrastination. And I will say to you that procrastination and momentum, they don't live on the same street. So procrastination is a momentum murderer. In fact, procrastination is the assassination of your destination. You have a destination you desire. You have a goal. You have a dream. God has called you to some great things. But if you continue to allow procrastination to freeze your momentum, it will be the assassination of your destination. So now, if you hear God's voice, harden not your heart. Listen. This is the time to get up and to take action. Why? And how do we do this? This is, I believe, part of the opposite of procrastination is what I would say, this is a momentum maker, is expect success. When you expect success, this will expect success will allow you to get into action, and that action, when consistently taken, can go into momentum, where really expectation is such a powerful ability of your mind. It's the faculty of faith. It's the faculty of what you expect will happen. Instead of thinking, what if this doesn't work, instead of asking the lousy question, what if I go through all this work and it doesn't work? Or if I do all of this and it doesn't sell, start asking, how awesome will this be when this book sells? How amazing will this be when this course is able to train thousands of people? If you're a coach, instead of asking like, well, what if someone pays me and I'm not able to deliver what I said? You can expect, how amazing will this be when someone pays me, they value it more, and then I could deliver on the results that I've promised. And you can expect, and you could have certainty, that absolute certainty that that you're going to deliver on what you've promised, because it's a choice. You're choosing to. Or number two, because like if they're not satisfied, or if something absolutely doesn't work out for whatever reason, then at least you're able to refund them. You're able to do what is right, make things right. So no matter what, you can't fail. In fact, Proverbs 14:23 is a powerful verse. It says, in all labor there is profit. In all labor there's profit. That means it is impossible for you to do work without a paycheck. All work works. And stop saying, what if I do all this what if I do all this work and the work doesn't work? It's impossible. Proverbs 14:23, the wisest and wealthiest man in human history, King Solomon, he shared this prosperity principle that all work works. In all labor there's profit. That means if the work that you're doing is not working for you, that means that work is working on you. And so many times we have to allow that work to work on you long enough until you can become the person where eventually the work will work for you. So stop asking, what if you do all this and it doesn't work? That produces procrastination, which murders your momentum. Instead, start asking, how amazing is this going to be? How life-transforming will this be for my client, for my audience, if you're going to deliver a speech, when the work that you do, it works? And I'll leave you with this question. What would you do if you knew success was inevitable? What would you do if you knew you could not fail? Like, it's impossible for you to put in that effort and work and things not to work out. What would you do if you knew success was inevitable? Then, and really think about that and go do that. Then live and act as though success is inevitable, because in all labor there is profit. Proverbs 14:23. So expecting success is going to be so powerful for motivating you to get into momentum and to stay in momentum. So the fifth momentum maker and momentum murderer is what I would call unintentional working. And unintentional working is a big murderer for people's momentum, because that is when we are so busy and we get caught up in things that have no intention or desire, no goal. It's like we're just continuing to fill our plate with things that are of little to no consequences. Many people, the problem that's preventing their momentum is that they're majoring in minor things. And sometimes, a lot of times, there is a unresolved foundational issue, that there is an issue that's going on in maybe the family, in the minds, in the health, and there's some sort of issue that is a problem that a person has, that when it's not overcame, it is creating, it's murdering momentum in the life. And as long as it is not being addressed, then it is perpetuating this problem. So I believe problems are best to be addressed, not suppressed. And one of the ways we can do this is through what I like to call new learnings, and creating a lifestyle of new learnings where we are actively seeking out how can we solve these problems? How can we identify what are the biggest problems in our life, in our business, that could hinder us from making progress, that are hindering us from going in the direction that we want, that we are called, and create a lifestyle of new learnings where something that's going to totally cap your momentum, that will cap your growth, is being stagnant in your skill set. Because in order to get, for every new level, there's a new devil. And if you're not growing, you're dying. So in order to have momentum, we have to be growing. We have to be advancing, gaining new skills, new abilities, new opportunities. And I would submit to you that each one of you, if you're an entrepreneur and you desire to serve more, be more, give more, do more, then you should have this life of new learnings where you'll always be either beginning a book, or you are in the middle of a book, or you're finishing a book, about to start another book. Always be in learning something new every day, because leaders are readers. And as you're reading it, and that reading could be a course, it could be a coaching program, it could be listening to podcasts, it could be audiobooks or reading the physical books. It could be just flooding your mind with what solutions can be on the problems that you are addressing, that you're seeking to solve, that you're able to develop. Because I would look at a skill is something that's able to solve a problem. It's able to produce a result. So if you have a problem in your business, if there's a bottleneck in your business, it's because you have yet to learn the skill set that will unbottleneck that, or will solve that problem. You're on the path of infinite development. This is learning something new every day is something that I've been doing for the last 10 years. Learning, growing, being intentional with how could I apply new learnings to learn what is a new skill that I could acquire. What could I do when I wanted to create content? I figured out how to work on YouTube, how to edit videos, which I don't edit anymore, but these were skills that I was doing in the beginning, and I realized, wow, there's a lot of stuff that's on my plate. I could use some help. So then I started to realize, I read a book. As I was reading a book, it says the wisest generalship is in seeing. Not how much I could do myself, but how much I could lead the people to do. And I was like, what? That was just it was so counterintuitive to me, because the biggest question on my mind was, how could I do more? How could I do more? But then this book, it was showing me, it's not about doing more. It's about helping others to do more. And I was like, what? That's a total paradigm shift. But I wouldn't have had that if it wasn't for reading and learning. And so in 2014, I shifted my focus to something higher leverage, a higher leverage skill, and that was building a team. It was attracting a team, seeing how to work with people. What do people want? Understanding leadership, understanding teamwork, understanding goals that we're able to accomplish together, and helping to train and develop leaders. By shifting to that team building, then it's allowed me to be able to have a team and to be able to work together and have a family business. So new learnings is so essential, so powerful. And since we're talking about it, if anybody's interested in grabbing a copy of I Want to Mentor Now, What Do I Do? This is for authors, coaches, and speakers and other high-level entrepreneurs that will teach you how to meet master mentors, how to maximize the mentorships you already have, whether that's a coaching program, whether that is a mastermind, or it's an event, a seminar that you're attending, implementation workshop. This is how you can get the most, so you can become a super student of successful people. And it'll also teach you how to master any skill in half the time. So if you want to go the long way, then don't get this book. But if you want to gain skills quick, and you want to make all of your new learnings, like anything that you ever invest in for the rest of your life, and you want to become the person who can juice the most value out of everything you ever learn in the future, grab a copy of my book. In fact, I would like to give it to you for free. I would not recommend going to Amazon, but instead go to iwantamentorbook.com. In iwantamentorbook.com, I will send it to you for free. If you want to get an audiobook, that's also the only place that you can find the audiobook. but you just cover shipping. If you pay for shipping, I will cover the cost of the book, and I'll get it shipped out to you shortly. And it's iwantamentorbook.com, and it's yours. But always have this growth mindset where how can you really be an entrepreneur if you don't grow, if you're stagnant, if you're in the same place? How can you have momentum if you're in the same place stuck today that you were before? That's not momentum, that's inertia. You have inertia that is working against you. To have momentum, start growing, start learning, start mastering skills, get on the road to mastery, and you will find opportunities multiplied. So that's the fifth is a lifestyle of new learnings. The sixth is a momentum murderer is where we start working towards things, and then that's what I would say is like reacting to obstacles. Because as you start working on things, obstacles are going to come up. But how you handle the obstacles will determine whether your result is momentum or inertia, whether you're stuck or if you are able to blast through obstacles as though they don't even exist. Because you think, if you look at the snowball, you think this snowball is going to be stopped by, does it take a large obstacle or a small obstacle to stop a small snowball?
Any obstacle.
Any obstacle. Maybe even just thinking about obstacles is going to stop this thing from rolling. But when you start getting to a massive boulder just picking up speed going downhill, like that is going to blast through many obstacles that won't even be recognizable as an obstacle when you have momentum. So if you're in a place where you're feeling like, man, there is so much resistance, it's so difficult, why? It's possibly because you have not yet it's possible because you've been reacting to the obstacles. Instead of what I would recommend in order to maintain momentum is anticipate obstacles instead of reacting to them. And what's powerful about this, and you might see like, wait a minute, Enoch, you're just saying to expect success. How are we to expect success and anticipate obstacles? Expecting failure is when you're expecting things that are not going to work. There's a difference between expecting these things as like an already accomplished fact and bringing all these problems and this pain and this failure from the imaginary future and bringing it to the present where you feel terrible, you feel lousy, and then you're unable to actually take action. And what I'm suggesting about anticipating obstacles, where now you're able to you can anticipate that they're coming up, not for the purpose of saying, woe is me, for I am undone, and oh, I can't do this, and getting overwhelmed and procrastinate. It's for the purpose of solving them in advance, creating some contingency plans or creating some opportunities. Well, if this obstacle comes up, what can I do? Because the truth is the obstacle is the way. Obstacles, so many people believe that obstacles are impossibilities. Obstacles are not impossibilities. Obstacles are opportunities. Obstacles are opportunities for you to climb higher. You could look at them as, oh, this is a stumbling block. This is meant to make me stumble in my momentum. Or you could look at this, oh, this is a stepping stone. This rock is placed there to help me to reach higher, to aim higher, to achieve more and do more and give more. So these obstacles become opportunities as you start to anticipate. As you anticipate them, then you could work things out to either avoid them, eliminate them, or use them for your advantage. And like Proverbs 22:3, powerful verse, it says, "A prudent man foreseeth evil afar off," or obstacles, "and hideth himself. But the simple pass on and are punished." So the prudent man, he's walking down this path and he sees like, hey, there's some robbers in the way. It's like, I'm going to take another route, or I'm going to take some protection, or I'm going to do something different. Where the simple, they don't put thought into anticipating. They don't look at where they're going. They're just focused one day at a time, one step after the next, and then they come up and then they're held at gunpoint. They're like, give me all your money. And then they get stripped of everything valuable. Because they're not anticipating, they're just reacting. So what I would submit to you is it's good to put some thought into what would be the challenges that you may face that would hinder you from failing, like that would hinder you from succeeding. A powerful question is is when you set a goal and you're asking like, what could I do to succeed? What are the steps in order to succeed? But an equally powerful question is, what could I do in making progress towards this goal that would ensure my failure? What could I do that would absolutely ensure that I do not reach the destination I desire? And when you look at all of these things that would cause failure, that will be an indication that will help you to see, allow you to anticipate obstacles and don't do that, or create opportunities to shift that. It's like as a speaker, as if you are speaking to sell, or if you're selling, if you have a product or service and something of value that you are persuading others, then you can anticipate objections and be able to instead of like, I learned in selling that it's one of the reasons I don't really get many of those objections. When I'm selling to people, they are sold and ready when I'm able to present the offer, is because I anticipate what are the objections and limiting beliefs that they would have to have. What are the things that people would say that they wouldn't, that would prevent them from taking advantage of what I have to offer. And instead of waiting to react for them to ask the questions at the end, when I present the opportunity and people are just like, well, what about this? What about that? Instead, I'm able to anticipate those and then just put those into the presentation. So the entire presentation is flooded with stories, with examples, with reasons, with things that will help them to eliminate those obstacles, those objections, before they ever come up. So all that they're able to have is it creates yes momentum in the presentation where people are saying, yes, I like that, I agree with that, I approve. And they're doing these little micro steps so that when it's time to present the offer, there is yes momentum to go take advantage of that offer. And it's because you anticipate the obstacles that would prevent them from buying, and you're able to address those in advance. And so there's 4 S's of momentum, 4 S's that could make a big difference in helping you to anticipate obstacles. Some of those obstacles are speed. Speed is if you have a goal, if you're working on something, think about, well, how long do you want to work towards it? How, like, if you are, say, if you're a speaker, if you're cultivating your communication, your sales, you want to think about, well, how frequently do you want to cultivate this communication and creating content, or writing, publishing, creating frameworks. How many do you want to produce? Think about a measurable key result. What is a number so you can make measurable progress toward your goal? How frequently are you gonna teach 7 days a week? When I wanted to get comfortable talking on camera, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to learn this skill and I'm going to go live every day for 100 days. And I'm going to get comfortable creating content, speaking to the camera, making eye contact. And so I'm like, all right, the speed I want to do is I want to do 100 in 100 days. I was like, all right, that's a goal. And the second S of momentum is study, which goes along with new learnings. You want to think about what are the skills that will be required, because sometimes in the beginning it's going to be hard until it becomes easy. In the beginning it's going to be slower until it becomes fast. But what will increase your speed is studying skills. So what book, what course, what coaching program can I learn in order to study, increase my skills, to learn how to do the thing? A lot of times when you're just getting started, if you don't already have the skill set to produce the result, then at the beginning, your speed of what you're working on is not actually doing the steps to reach the goal. What you're working on is studying the right mentorship, studying to learn the steps so you can reach the goal. And that is what you're working on. So studying increases your speed of how much you're able to accomplish. And the third is we're looking at is schedule. Schedule is basically, all right, put it on your calendar. You show me your calendar and I'll show you your values. So many times people are like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time to learn this skill. I don't have time to solve this problem. I don't have time. And they say all this, I don't have time scarcity. But the truth is, you have time for what you make time for. Everybody has the exact same time in a day, but you choose what you're going to spend that time with. what you're really saying, instead of saying, I don't have time for, just start saying, like, I have not yet prioritized my time to do. Because it's, when people are saying, I don't have time, what they're really saying is, I don't have priorities. Because we all have the same 24 hours in the day. But put it on your calendar, because what gets scheduled gets done. Block out time for that, for the action, for the accomplishment, for the study. Block out time for you studying, block out time for you working, and the speed of how long it's going to take. How many do you want to produce an hour? How many units of production do you want to produce within an hour of time frame? Or just like ask, if you're creating videos, is it going to be a weekly video, and is it going to be every week? If so, what day? And if it's like on Tuesday, I like to do it Tuesday at 9 o'clock. Then I go live every week. I have been creating at least weekly content every year, just about for the last 10 years. So I've valued this, so I've scheduled it. And always scheduling, having a content rhythm or a content schedule where I'm able to practice my communication skills. Because I didn't have that before I started recording. And then the fourth S of momentum is space. This is so considered, is that many people don't realize many of the distractions, much of momentum is just eliminating the distractions before they come up, before they become distractions. And some of the biggest distractions is with your space. It's your place, is your location of where you are actually going to produce and have that focused effort and what you're going to be looking at. So that space could be building a bunker where you're able to maybe have, when people work from home, a lot of times they have an office. I have this recording studio. It gives me the space to be able to go live and record, to makes it easier so I can be consistent, so I can be focused on creating content that can serve high-level entrepreneurs and help them to get to the next level and understand, and help me to develop skills. Some space, if you're a writer, if you want to write content for websites or for a blog or for a book, then like having a location, you want to consider the noise. There is a sound clutter, there's visual clutter, and visual clutter could be, maybe there's a lot of, it's messy, it's disorganized, you got a bunch of boxes, you can't see the floor. When there's so much stuff in your surroundings that all your senses are constantly being bombarded, these are going to be energy drains. They're going to drain your creative energies that are going to make it harder for you to create and maintain momentum as you're moving into 2023. So you want to, when you have these four things in place, it allows you to anticipate obstacles. Your speed of how many units of value are you going to produce under what time frame. Your study is what skills are you going to continue to stack so you can increase your speed. And your schedule is when are you going to study? When are you going to work and produce that value? And then the space is where are you going to work? And how can you eliminate? Maybe you could speak to your family or and let them know, like, hey, during these hours, it's like, I need to focus and I won't be available during this time. And you have that space where you could focus, buckle down, and be able to get faster results. So the last one that we're going to be looking at is a momentum murderer for many is learning from their own mistakes. This is literally one of the worst things that you could do in building momentum towards success. And what I mean is, like, there's two ways that you can learn. You can either, one, learn from your own mistakes, or number two, you can learn from the mistakes of others. Learning from your own mistake is going to cost you time. Learning from the mistakes of others is often going to cost you money. But your time is infinitely more valuable than your money. Money comes and goes. You spend it, you can get it back. Time squandered can never be gathered again. Time is way more valuable than money. And the truth is, so many people that are going against the law of inertia, and they have more stuck, they're stuck and they are stagnant. Many of them are seeking to save money, so they will, by spending their time learning from their own mistakes, figuring things out on their own. But the people who find, I've noticed through studying highly successful people, is the people who have the greatest momentum in their life are not, one of the ways that they are helping to stay consistent and have focused effort is that they will pay mentors. They will invest in mentorship, in coaching, in courses. They will invest in books that will allow them to focus on what they do best, so they can leverage mentors. They can leverage learning from mentors, which is the seventh. And this, taking advice from someone who has been where you want to go, is one of the fastest paths to accomplishing whatever the desires that you have, whatever you want to accomplish. A mentor is powerful because mentors have been there. Mentors have traveled the distance, they've gotten the result, and they can show you, they can help you to anticipate obstacles you didn't even know that you were going to face. So a good mentor is going to give you counterintuitive advice. And it's counterintuitive because if it made sense, you'd already be doing it. But if you ignore or neglect the counsel of mentors, advisors, then you're gonna hit all of these obstacles, and they're gonna slow down and bust up your speed. It's gonna bust up your momentum. And while you invest, like what I find is, like when you're cutting a check, when I cut a check to a mentor, to a coach, to a book, to a course, when I cut a check, I'm buying speed. I'm literally buying my time back at a discount. And Ephesians 5, verse 12 or verse 16, it says, redeeming the time. Why? Because the days are evil. The Bible encourages us to redeem the time. And if you look at what that word redeem means, in the Webster's 1828 dictionary, redeeming means to buy back your time, to purchase your time, to rescue from loss. So the Bible is literally saying, buy back your time, to purchase your time, to rescue your time from being lost. So God wants us to redeem the time. And if you can buy back your time, that also means that time is more valuable than the money, because it's better to part with money so you could buy back your time. Like, you're cutting a check for speed. Anytime that you invest in a mentor, you can learn with the hard way, the long way, the slow way with your own mistakes. And each bump and obstacle mistake that you have is going to be a little like friction on your momentum, or you can turn that friction into traction by investing in mentors and listening to those who have gone before. And the fact is, if you've made it this far, you already are seeing the value of mentorship. You already are seeing advice from others who you want to build momentum for the new year. And you're saying, hey, this makes sense. And if you're listening here, then you see the value in mentorship. You're understanding this. One of the ways that you can eliminate disappointment is in Proverbs. Again, Solomon says that without counsel, purposes are disappointed, but in a multitude of counselors, there is safety. So one of the secrets to succeed like Solomon is to seek mentorship. Model the mentors, because success leaves clues. Find someone who has a result that you want. Find out, pay them whatever they charge to find out what they did, and do what they did, then continue until you have the results that you want. This is where Solomon recognized the value of mentorship and how important it is to being able to succeed. So instead of, if you want to eliminate disappointments, then grab a mentor who's been where you want to go and follow the plan exactly as it is written. And you will have greater momentum. You will overcome obstacles. You will remove obstacles, and you'll blast through. And it is incredible. When you do these 7 things going into the new year, I believe you'll have greater momentum than many of you have ever experienced in your life. And what are the 7 again? Number 1 is having focused effort, choosing the path. And I recommend choosing a word of the year. Choose a theme for the year that by focusing is going to have some of the greatest impact for the rest of your life work. Number 2 is to start small and start soon. Instead of being all large and late in your plans and your devising your expectations, what you need before you start small. Done is better than perfect. Do something, then do something better. Build that snowball effect with the little micro victories, and that will help to push you forward into momentum. Number 3 is consistency, that consistent action. Once you've found what you want to focus on, you've found your how would you act if you knew that you couldn't fail, and go do that? Then number 5 is live a lifestyle of new learnings. Always be reading, always be learning, always be acquiring skills, always be seeing what are the skills that you can learn now that will help to speed you up and help you to solve the problems that are increasingly more complex, that allows you to solve more valuable problems. And number 6 is anticipate obstacles. Stop reacting when they come up. Start anticipating. There's a fine line between overthinking, which will murder your momentum, and underthinking, which will also murder your momentum. It's like there's 2 ditches. And if you go too far to either extreme, overthinking or underthinking, it's going to kill momentum. But you can anticipate obstacles and prepare a plan or a solution in advance. And that's by looking at the 4 S's of momentum. And then number 7 is learning from mentors, taking the advice of people who've gone before you. You do that. Mentors make momentum. Mentors are momentum makers. So when you grasp this, these 7 things, you're going to have so much more momentum in your life. And friends, if you have not grabbed your free copy of my book, I Want to Mentor, Now What Do I Do? Now's your time to do that. Go over to iwanttomentorbook.com and you can find out more about how you can meet master mentors. How you can find, it's got the #1 method for finding the right mentor. This is for speakers, for authors, if you're a coach, if you're a high-level entrepreneur, if you're someone who values mentorship and you want to get the most of your mentors. This is going to teach you how to maximize your mentorships, whether it's a course, whether it's a book, whether it's a coaching program, mastermind. People pay like $30,000 or more in joining these coaching programs, and they get there and they're overwhelmed. They have no idea how to start, and they're learning these things. But a lot of times people don't always study about how the brain actually likes being communicated to, so they feel overwhelmed and they're stuck, and they're like, why are some people succeeding super fast and I'm struggling? We're listening to the same book, we're attending the same events, and we're learning the same things, but some people are succeeding fast while other people are still in the same place that they were time and time again. What makes a difference? Well, I cover that in my book about how you can become a super student of successful people and stop being a struggling student, and the learn how to learn in a way that your brain actually wants to be communicated to, even if your mentor doesn't know how to do that. And this will teach you how to master any skill in half the time. So grab a book. I'd like to send you a free copy. You just cover shipping, and I will cover the cost of the book at iwanttomentorbook.com. And friends, if you like this, then I encourage you to share this with other people. Let others know. Tag them in the comments. Let me know which of these, in the comments, let me know which of these 7 momentum makers are you planning to implement this year, and how do you see, why do you want to implement this one? This one that's going to make the biggest difference. Thank you so much for watching, friends, and remember, God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called.